You are not bad with names. You are bad at writing things down, which is a completely different problem and a much easier one to fix. Being bad with names feels like a flaw in your character. Forgetting to write something down is just a habit you never built. And once you see it that way, the whole thing gets lighter. Here is what is actually happening when you blank on someone's life. You had the conversation. You heard that Priya's mother was going in for a knee replacement on Thursday. You meant to remember it. But you were driving, or the kettle was boiling, or the next message came in, and the details slid off the edge of your day like everything else does. The memory was never the problem. There was just no place to put it. So let's talk about what to actually write down about the people you care about. Not everything, because that turns into a chore. And a chore is a thing you quietly abandon. Just the few kinds of notes that change your next message from generic to specific. The first one is the worry of the month. Everyone you know is carrying one thing right now that is bigger than the small talk. A job interview on Friday. A father who is not doing well. A move to a new city where they don't know a single person yet. If you write down one line, write down that. Because the difference between "How are you?" and "How did Friday go?" is the difference between a message they scroll past and a message they screenshot. The second kind of note is the names in their orbit. Not just your friend, but the people your friend loves. Their partner, by name, their kids, and roughly how old. The dog named Biscuit, who had surgery last spring. When you ask about Sam by his name instead of asking about your husband, you tell your friend something quiet and enormous. You tell them you were paying attention to the whole shape of their life, not just the part that faces you. The third note is the thing they said they would try. People tell you their small intentions all the time, and then nobody ever asks about them again. She was going to start pottery on Sunday. He was thinking about finally learning to swim at 34. They wanted to take one trip alone this year. No laptop. Write it down. And 6 weeks later you get to say, "Wait, did you ever start the pottery class?" And they will feel remembered in a way that a birthday text can never quite reach. The fourth note is the small preference. This is the low-stakes, high-warmth category, and it is my favourite. He takes his coffee like a dessert. She cannot stand cilantro. They're the friend who is always cold, so you grab the table inside. None of this is important, and that is exactly why remembering it lands. Nobody expects you to know they hate cilantro. Knowing it anyway is a tiny, unmistakable signal that they registered with you as a real person. And the fifth note is the date that matters, but not the obvious one. Anyone can wish you happy birthday because the calendar told them to. The date that matters is the anniversary of the hard thing. The Tuesday a year ago that they lost someone. The week their divorce became final. You do not send a card. You just send on that day a message that says, "Thinking of you today," and you say nothing else, and they will never forget that you knew. Now, capturing all this is supposed to take 10 seconds, not become a second job. The move is simple. Right after you hang up or right after they leave, you write one line while it is still warm. Not a paragraph. Not a profile. One line in whatever place you already trust, before the next thing in your day erases it. The whole system is, have the conversation, then spend 10 seconds before you forget. But there is a line here, and it matters. So let me name it directly. There is a difference between care and surveillance. A note that helps you show up is care. A note that tracks someone, that scores them, that keeps a tally of who owes whom a text, is not care. And you can feel the difference in your body when you write it. The test is simple. Would you be embarrassed if they read it? Or would they feel loved? Write only the notes that would make them feel loved. Everything else, let your memory happily lose. Because here is what all of this is really for. It is not about having a database of your friends. It is about the moment, 3 weeks from now, when you open a chat and your thumb hovers and you almost type, "Hey," and nothing else. And instead, because you wrote one line, you type, "How did your mum's surgery go on Thursday?" That is the whole game. That one sentence is the difference between a friendship that slowly goes quiet and one that stays close. At Ember, this is quietly the thing we build. A calm place to keep these few notes about the people who matter, and a gentle keeper that hands the right one back to you at the right moment. So the caring doesn't depend on your memory being perfect. But you do not need us to start. You need one line, written down while it is still warm, about one person you care about. So here is the only question worth leaving you with. About the last person you really talked to. What is the one line you could write down right now?